My family started to make wine in the middle of the 19th century with my grandfather Luigi De Laini. And he gave this property to my grandfather, Domenico De Laini, in 1923 when he married. We were one of the biggest winery of the area between the 30s and the 60s. After the death of my grandfather in the late 70s, my family then in the 80s stopped the business. They closed the winery, and they sold most of the vineyards we had. And this place where we are, where we live, where we have the winery, has been abandoned for many years, with the little vineyard above here on the hill where I started with. So I can say that the place has been abandoned for almost 25 years, until when I jump into the story, when in 2011 I decided to come back to my little village from 7 years in France, in Paris. I was working in a bank at the beginning, then I skipped to the wine market. I was a kind of a wine agent. But I was bored, of that kind of life, and I decided to come back to my little village, Calmasino, with in my mind a precise idea. To make a great wine. And for great wine I mean a wine that is a pure expression of this hill. Because I always felt that this hill has something magic, something important. I started to work with concrete in 2017 because before I didn't have, I could not afford to restore the old concrete tanks of my grandfather, because this has been built here in 1923. And during the fermentation, it keeps slower the fermentation. Because it cools down the temperature in the fermentation. So the fermentation, instead to be like this, like it could be in still, it's more like this. So you extract in a different way. Okay. So this is Bardolino Superiore, La Superiora 19. Okay. So this is already the mix. The mix of the and it's a nice vintage. It's a very nice vintage. It goes on so now it's young. It's not ready. It's a little bit unbalanced there, and here there's still the what's the name, the acidity going, because there's a saltiness due to the soil. It is super stony, high, well exposed. That I was looking for. They're light, they're easy in the drinkability. And I want to make wines that put together drinkability and complexity. And it's the most difficult thing you can do. Villa Calicantus, every vineyard has his wine, every wine has his vineyard. This to me is super important. Avresir is our reserva, so our best wine. It's coming from the top of the hill that is just near the winery. That is one of the highest hill of the area. There you have a mix of conditions that is not so easy to have. We are on a high hill, so around 200 meters, close to the lake. So we have a direct influence of the lake, and we are exposed also at the same time to the influence of the mountains. This is the vineyard where we produce Avresir. That is our Riserva, our best wine. Why we make it here? Because there's a mix of different elements. There's a soil that is a typical soil of the Bardolino Classico. It's a very poor soil with a lot of stones, not so much minerals, and this gives a saltiness to the wine that is unique. Here is the highest point of this hill. So we have the vines in the sun between the first minute of sun until the sunset. And we have the oldest vines we have on this hill here. So these three factors, so the soil, the altitude, and the age of the vines, produce what is for me a riserva. So this is the last piece of land we got from my family. When you find this little word riserva on the label, it means that wine it's the best wine of the winery. It's coming from the best vineyard, and it's aged longer usually. I said you don't find it in Bardolino because in Bardolino it's forbidden to write Riserva on the label. Instead of writing Riserva, you can choose a fantasy name. Okay. So the first year I was, I decided to make this Avrasil. It is 2013. And it's aged 2 years in barrels and 1 in the bottle. So in 2015, I started to think about the fantasy name I should have used. And the only thing came to my mind, the only thing I didn't have other ideas, has been Avrasil. That is just Riserva backwards. And this is not for joking, you know, with the rules, but because I think with this wine we are trying to push the Bardolino system and the Bardolino wine system in another direction, because I think it's a wine that can show easily that the Bardolino can age. And the Bardolino, if it's coming from a great spot, from a great vineyard, and it's the grapes are respected, the wine is respected, Bardolino wine can be a great wine, like the best wines in Italy. When I decided to work in the winery like I wanted to work, so as less intervention as possible, so no selected yeast, no filtration, no changement of color, no changement on anything in the wine, well, you understand immediately that you have to work as much as possible in the vineyards because you need great grapes. So it for me has been normal since the beginning to think that I should have spent as much time as possible in the vineyards to understand my vines, because this is very important for a winemaker. A winemaker is a word that I don't like so much because doesn't keep in consideration the vineyard part. So a vigneron in French is someone who is working the vines and making the wine. Okay, and a vigneron has to be in contact with the vines he's working and has to understand them, because the vines are reacting to what you vigneron are doing them. I understand now after years of working in the field that what I'm looking, the most difficult thing is to be able to let express the vines, their terroir, their potential, and not what I want to achieve from them. And so it's a long work of how do you say respect and listening in a way the inner voice of the vineyard, and understanding what every parcel can give you. You can have a Nebbiolo or you can have a Barolo. The appellation, there's the bottom and there's the top. I think we need the top in Bardolino, and so the idea is to create this top. And so now that we have been choosing between the top 100 wines in Italy, it starts to be understood. It takes time. I'm not in a hurry. So what I'm doing now basically is in a way trying to come back to that artisanal phase of the winemaking, in which you were working more in the vineyard than in the winery, and in which your wine had a soul. Cos'hai? Makes for a book. No. The real reason why I'm working in biodynamic, it's a kind of political reason. It's a choice to work in a way that will give a better piece of land to my next generation. If farmers were polluting only their soils, their lands, in a way, it's okay. It's their property. They can do what they want. The problem is that under our land, there's the underground waters that are not ours. There's something of everyone. So I think farmers have to understand how important is their job. It's not a simple job, a farm, because we are dedicated to a piece of land, and we should take care of this piece of land, because it's not, land is never only of the farmer, it's something of everyone, because it's part of a landscape. Una scarpetta, ma fammi una scarpetta in vita mia. I go here. Buon appetito, Anna,
Dove vai tu?
In my photography life, I had two periods: black and white, and then color. So this is after 2008, and it was my, to take pictures what was my way to connect with reality in a deeper way. I think like now it's making wine. I express myself through my wines. My wines are, in a way, my translation of what I have inside, something like this, and so it's fine. It's bizarre to see these pictures. It's very bizarre. And I'm super proud of this wine. You have what the wood gives in terms not of taste, but of evolution of the wine. You have this tertiary evolution sense that what I'm looking for. Average, I don't want them in the other wines. I want them in this wine. I don't know. This is our Riserva, our best wine. I don't know. Best is a stupid word. Is the wine coming from our best vineyard, surely. So average here is a big dream. Let's say there's a few bottles for a big dream. Bottle 2,783. This has been my first wine, first vintage. I was worried, I was scared, I understood how the wine evolved only later. Yeah, maybe someone is thinking that I'm trying to elevate the Bardolino. Someone is thinking that I'm destroying the Bardolino. Who cares? I'm not making this for the others. I'm making this for Bardolino itself and for because I think is the only thing to do. This wine is the beginning of everything. Long story, it's the re-beginning of a long story inside here. It's the wine who brought again life in this abandoned place, and is the wine, in which I put all my efforts, all my, everything. That's good. It's still young, I think. Nice.